In a world of sunshine and rainbows, there's always a counterpoint to the glad and the happy, and that's often gloom and doom. And that's where a series like Ajin, Demi-Human fits into the picture. Empathy, betrayal, distrust, self-restraint, violence, these are all general themes of Ajin, and the mangaka Gamon Sakurai is never light on throwing them into the mix. Sakurai's manga tends to explore these themes and more en masse and rarely showcases anything but the darkness. Whether it's due to the seinen demographic it's aiming for or it's simply the machinations of Sakurai's views of the world, Ajin can be a pretty brutal series to stick with. Thankfully, those who do stick around for the story will find a terrifically paced thriller with great characterization throughout. Ajin is based in modern Japan, wherein immortal ghost-like creatures, the titular Ajin, have been slowly revealing themselves across the world over the last 17 years. Our protagonist, Kei Nagai, is one such abomination and is now on the run to protect himself and those around him whom he considers important. The ugly light of discrimination is cast on any and all Ajin in the world who seeks to find them and eradicate them by any means. Naturally, humans do not wish to be cast off the top of the proverbial food pyramid and happily and discreetly treat the Ajin as nothing more than weapons that can easily put them out of existence. Our story takes place in Japan, and the Japanese government has assembled a certain task force for this duty, the Ajin Commission. Headed by Yu Tosaki, the Ajin Commission is tasked with capturing Ajin and ensuring the safety of humanity. But naturally, it wouldn't be a very good thriller without a little bit of conflict or a little bit of social intrigue. So it's not long before the Ajin Commission and the Japanese government are discovered to be corrupt and are treating the Ajin less than humanizing. Everything from diabolical tests to learn all about the Ajin's strengths and weaknesses, to even torturing and learning one's limits is all considered A-OK for the Commission. And that's where our third thread of Ajin comes into play, Sato. Sato's introduction into the story really helps launch Ajin into a new level of thriller and action, as he's absolutely ruthless when getting things done by any means necessary. Now, as awesome as all of that really sounds, I have to preface, there's a bit about Ajin that has turned off a lot of people, and that comes in the form of its animation style. It can be a huge turnoff to a lot of people. There's no denying the animation studio, Polygon Pictures, have a very distinctive style, or they have lately with a lot of their series they've done. They really push a CG anime style, and they're great with it. It's actually really nice to look at, but it brings in a discussion of the industry of CG animation versus the traditional 2D animation, and that'll never have a solution. It's obviously an aesthetically pleasing preference, so no one is necessarily wrong for liking 2D versus CG, but I personally prefer the traditional 2D animation that's found more prominently in the industry than most CG animation out there. That's not to say that I don't enjoy CG animation or even think it's something that should go away. I actually think that it can be used super well to accentuate scenes and emotions that some 2D animation simply cannot. When used in conjunction, these two styles can blend really well together. The personal frustration that I have with Polygon Pictures' style is that it just looks so odd and it looks old and dated. It essentially looks like a PlayStation 2 era cutscene most of the time. Characters move at an awkward pace, really looking like they're moving about 90% of a human's speed. And despite the emotive reactions and the faces, they're really not enough to make up for the lackadaisical animation that's here. And I'm just not a fan of watching anime moving at a 15 frame per second rate. It's very jarring, and it's ultimately really caused a lot of people to put this series down. And I do think Ajin deserves a chance, at least its first season, if you can really get past the art style that's there. Of course, animation isn't 100% of the entire product, and I'd be wrong if I said I've never watched a show that's been declared ugly by others. That being said, there's really some beauty in the ugliness of Ajin with its story and its characters, and that especially shines with the Nagai and Sato dynamic. Sakurai's Ajin has really hit on a great subject of civility, and humanity and empathy, and all three themes weave a web of a story that pulls you through a funnel of prejudices, conspiracy, torture, betrayal, battlegrounds, and realization. Nagai's complexity is slowly pulled out of him over the course of the series so brilliantly, as he has to come to terms of being an Ajin and everything that comes with that. His life's completely changed, and all he really wants to do is lead a quiet, normal life like everyone else without any stigma or worries. And he can't understand why society refuses to even consider the potentially positive possibilities of Ajin coexisting with humans, and why humans are so quick to be rid of anyone labeled and found as an Ajin. But Nagai is also not exactly the most reputable protagonist by any means. He's really kind of a dick, and he's only looking out for himself most of the time. He has moments of good and praiseworthy choices, but they're often few and far between. It's a bit of a typical character arc for someone like Nagai, but it's spread out so well over the series. It's less predictable, and therefore it's a little bit more enjoyable as a result. Whereas on the other end, you get Sato and his character, and it's essentially what Nagai will become if his mentality remains as it is over the series. Nagai does have empathy and humanity still inside him, and Sato is arguably chaotically evil, and the most evil you can imagine. He has zero qualms about getting any of his tasks completed, despite the challenge and the moral or ethical implications that come with them. He's the perfect villain to hate and root against, and it's such an invigorating character type to see on screen. It's so often you see series trying to make their villains troubled persons with conflict and redeemable quirks that they recover from and ultimately become anti-heroes. But Sato's nowhere close to being redeemable. There are a few points and ideas that he has that I can comprehend as logical and potentially fair, but there's little in the ways of actually condoning how he doles out his justice to his enemies. He's completely despicable and will kill his enemies and even comrades at a moment's notice just to succeed. It's terrific. It's really such a great character. Sato's one of the best, most creative villains I've come across in many years of anime, TV, manga, and for me will be a memorable character and an important measuring point for anything to come after him. Nagai and Sato's dynamic is perfect for a bulk of the series, and their inevitable showdowns are a wonderful sight. They're both incredibly talented in terms of strategy and manipulation, but the matter of age and experience often plays in, and Sakurai leaves us dazzling at the antagonist winning a lot of the battles that they have with the protagonist. And it's a sight to see the hero lose so often. There are too many instances I've read or watched where the hero prevails because of a power, friendship, or a last-minute power-up, or some other deus ex machina that comes in and allows them to easily defeat evil. Ajin's never afraid to show the loss and effects of actually losing a battle. And Nagai gets knocked down over and over and over again, and Sato's essentially an unstoppable killing madman. Each gets their spotlight, and each gets their story told, while keeping a stirring finale building up. Speaking of the finale, Ajin unfortunately does succumb to the anime-only ending, since the manga is still running in Japan, as well as being licensed for English release. Luckily, the team at Polygon Pictures crafted a solid ending that does suffice for anime-only viewers. Ajin is a triumphant series worth streaming and spending a lot of time with. Netflix does have exclusive streaming rights, and it is fully dubbed or subbed depending on your preference. I personally watched it dubbed, and I had zero regrets with it. The cast were wonderful, especially the voice of Sato. His gravelly portrayal and voice just reminded me of someone like Stephen Bloom or David Hayter. Ajin is a briskly paced look at humanity and the often dreary and dark prejudices found within. If you can get past its art style and its potentially objectionable violence and torture content, there is a fantastic story with great, memorable characters, and I personally plan on sticking with the manga to get more, because this is a series that I want to support, and it's a series that I want to continue to get a satisfying ending from. But if you do decide to stick with just the anime, you won't be disappointed by the ending. So there we have it. a brand new episode of Anime Streaming Showcase focused on Ajin, Demi-Human. And I want to give a huge thanks to the Laser Time people. They have always been super supportive in allowing me to do dumb shit like this for you guys. I am aiming to do these once a week. And the reason that I'm doing a lot more talking head over showing actual video is I've done a couple of these in the past, and YouTube and Vimeo and a lot of streaming sites are pretty on point about flagging content. And since I want this to be a recurring thing and something that I can continue doing without losing a YouTube account or potentially upsetting anyone, I want to try and make this as low budget and low risk as possible. But I'll do my best to still try and input images and maybe small trailers and things like that if I can get away with it. That's the plan right now. Feel free to leave a comment, good or bad. Anything. I read all of them. They're all fantastic. They really help me shape what I'm trying to do and give me an idea of where I may need to work and continue focusing on. And I will always take any requests if there's a series that's on Hulu or Crunchyroll or Netflix that you'd like me to look at. More than likely it's already in my queue, but I have no problem moving things around to make an episode you may specifically like. So feel free to drop a comment, either YouTube or the landing page of this particular video. And I want to thank you for watching, and feel free to hit me up at Zabu-san on Twitter. Thanks, guys.